Baseball is back, and at Team Toyota, savings and selection are back too. With tons of new Toyota SUVs, trucks, and hybrids to choose from, and with our lineup of over 200 certified used Toyotas, you can find the right fit for you and your budget. Plus, our service and collision centers are here to get you back in the game in no time. Visit one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or online at teamtoyota.net.
All right, well, 162-0, not in the cards. 161-1, still in the cards, Corey Seidman. This is the Phillies Talk Podcast presented by Team Toyota. I am Spencer McKercher, joined by Corey Seidman. Still at the ballpark, just wrapped up the home opener as we sit down here on March 31st on Monday. Like I said, Corey, they didn't get the sweep in Washington on Sunday. We'll get to that. But, man, what a fun home opener here on Monday. Dude, I was over there, too, for a little bit, maybe the first 3 or 4 innings. Obviously, it was quiet during the game, but that pregame festivities, the Phillies always do such a great job. They knocked it out of the ballpark again, but we'll get to that as well. But do you want to start with maybe they just need to get to bullpens here? How about it?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, you look at the damage the Phillies have been able to do against bullpens here through 4 games. They've hit .365 against relievers with twice as many extra base hits as they have against starters. Rob Thompson kind of joked after the game that, I do want to get to a starter here pretty soon. It's getting a little anxious coming down to the end, but this is something that's been part of the Phillies' DNA throughout this entire run. They are able to get to pitchers late in games. They're able to get to closers, back-end relievers. They never feel like they're out of it. And that is an important trait for any team to be able to exhibit throughout a long season, because then you believe in August and September and October that if that opportunity arises again, that you can actually come back. Germán Marquez really kept the Phillies off balance for 6 innings. That looked like the Germán Marquez of old, the guy before his injury who had, a dynamic breaking ball and a big fastball. Phillies really couldn't touch him, same way they struggled against Mackenzie Gore on opening day. But then as soon as the Rockies went to the bullpen, the bats came alive. And there's a lot of different guys that we can give credit to. Trey Turner coming off the bench and working a big walk, a long plate appearance, a guy who's not usually known for his selectivity. Turner's walk enabled the Phillies to prolong the inning for Edmundo Sosa to hit the go-ahead 2-run double, and then Kyle Schwarber to hit the 2-run homer to kind of cap things off. But, yeah, 45,000 fans went home happy. Phillies had another good home opener. And the Rockies, they're going to be one of the worst teams in baseball again this season. Phillies have a chance to win 2 out of 3 or sweep this thing. And, this is a chance to have a pretty good first week of your season here if you emerge 5-1 or 6-0. But, one game at a time, a lot of different signs we can get to. What stuck out to you?
Dude, I'll tell you what. The pitching again. Cristopher Sánchez looked okay. He looked pretty good, I guess I could say, just like Aaron Nola did on Sunday, in his season debut until that rough 4th inning. But yeah, I think the pitching again, man. Obviously the offense coming alive. It is crazy, the ERA difference between the starters. So the Nationals 3 starters and Marquez today, they have a combined .77 ERA against the Phillies. Then you get to the bullpen, and the Nationals bullpen and this Rockies bullpen, it's now 15.63. So, yeah, the offense just taking its time to wake up is fine. They've scored 23 of their 25 runs now. The Phillies have after the 5th inning so far in 4 games this season as well. So, yeah, man, I don't know. It was just a fun day today. Today was awesome. It was so good to be back. We talked to some fans before the game as well, and the atmosphere was there. Everyone was talking about how it was Christmas Eve last night, and now it was Christmas Day today, and a lot of people even, I talked to this little kid. He was great, man. He came up right up to him, and I heard him say, "I'm home." And he was probably like 7 or 8 years old. And I was like, This is awesome, man. It's so great. But, do you want to...
Yeah, the home openers, it's always a great scene. And the Phillies do it as well as any team in baseball. It always is a contrast when you go from elsewhere and then you see the Phillies, like what they're able to do, the ceremony, the pageantry. It's a little bit different. And I think some of that's just how into it the fan base is. But, you mentioned Sanchez. I know that the results weren't incredible. What was it? 1 run over 5 1/3 innings on the home run. So really it was just one bad pitch he made. But I saw a lot out of Cristopher Sánchez on Monday that I think offers reason for optimism. He hit 98 miles per hour 5 times. He averaged 96.5 with his fastball compared to 94.5 last season. So we're talking about 2 miles per hour of additional average fastball velocity for Cristopher Sánchez. while maintaining the command. He didn't really have the great changeup the first couple innings, but he found it in the third inning, struck out Ryan McMahon on a low and in changeup, then a low and away changeup. And again, highlighting that he doesn't have any hesitancy using that against lefties. A lot of lefties only throw their changeup to righties, but Sanchez has so much confidence in it that he throws it lefty on lefty. So Sanchez looked really good. And then Jose Alvarado coming in averaging 100 miles per hour with his sinker. I mean, you have some pitchers on the staff who are looking like they're already in mid-season form, and now you just hope that they can maintain it throughout the course of 6 months. But 3-1 through 4 games. It hasn't been perfect, but you have a lot of guys who are showing what they can do. Max Kepler, we got a glimpse of what Max Kepler can do on Monday. He homered. He had a single. And I don't know, that home run, the swing that he had on that home run, it had the look of a guy who, if he stays healthy, I could see Max Kepler hitting 265 with like a 775 OPS hitting 22 to 25 home runs. And that would be big time production. That's production you didn't have out of that spot last year.
Can you imagine if that's the numbers that Max Kepler can produce for this team? That would be phenomenal. It's kind of like that missing piece. They went out and got Austin Hayes at the deadline last year. That didn't work out. This bat could be huge. And it was funny. Me and Ricky Bell were talking about it. That swing looks like a swing from a few years ago, his previous injury, before the injury. That was the swing that was like, okay, yeah, maybe Max is back. Obviously, we've been talking to him. He's been feeling more comfortable as these days have gone on in this Phillies clubhouse. And if he can produce that way, looking good. Let's talk about another guy real quick offensively that's producing, and that is the Schwarberian, baby. The Schwarberian, baby. Me and you have been joking. We've been joking that we call him the March-Barian. For those of you that don't know, Ben Davis, typical Ben Davis fashion, nicknamed Kyle the Schwarberian about 2 or 3 years ago. And we even made like a graphic for it on pregame live. It was great. So Kyle, man, what a start to his season. He's batting .353 with 3 bombs and 6 RBIs already. He had the home run today that kind of just lifted the roof off the place, especially after Edmundo Sosa. We'll get to him right after this. But yeah, what a start to the season for Kyle Schwarber, huh?
He leads the league in having beat writers turn to each other and say, I think he's going deep here. I swear it's like every single game. I mean, and it's because like he has a knack for the dramatic. He hits pitching, whether it's bad pitching or good pitching. Last 2 seasons, he hit lefties and righties alike. He's even been hitting lefties to begin this season. This is just what an amazing deal this has turned out for the Phillies with Kyle Schwarber. I mean, 4 years, $79 million, earning less than $20 million per year. He's not only like an elite power hitter, he's also the leader of the team. He's the unquestioned leader of a team that's filled with superstar players. I mean, that just speaks to his personality and how easygoing he is and easy to get along with. There's all this talk in the spring training and offseason about who's going to lead off. Is it going to be Kyle Schwarber? Is it going to be Trey Turner? Really, we're seeing that Kyle Schwarber is going to give the Phillies big value, whether he's leading off, batting second, batting fourth, whatever. I mean, the leadoff homers are great. The home runs out of the 4 spot are great. I think I said this a couple weeks ago on the podcast, but like there's, a lot of things in baseball don't translate year to year. If you have a good year one year, it doesn't mean you're going to have a good year the next. One thing that absolutely translates year to year is Kyle Schwarber's power. That he's going to hit 38, 40 home runs, something in that range. This has been the best 4-year run of his career. I mean, he has better numbers as a Philly than he's had anywhere else. He's definitely a priority to re-sign here. And yeah, I mean, he's just off to an amazing start. And we're also seeing the bottom of the lineup produce in order to get him into RBI opportunities. Like if Turner doesn't walk, if Edmundo Sosa doesn't double in the 7th inning of this game, Kyle Schwarber doesn't come up in that spot. So he's making the most of his opportunities and looks like he's going to have another 40 homer, 100 plus RBI season.
I can't remember if it was you and I talking about this or if it was me talking with some friends. I think it might have been you and I. When you look back at Kyle Schwarber's career, when it's all said and done, and hopefully he resigns here. But do you think him as like you said, this is the best 4-year stretch of his career? I'm going to remember him as a Philly. I don't know if that's just being here in Philadelphia, but I still think you're right. This is the best 4-year stretch of his career. He just, like you said, he never fails to produce. I'll tell you what, I thought, talking about calling home runs, I thought Bryce was going to get one today, man. The way he was swinging it, I think he was a little amped up. Some of those swings, man, and he missed that first at bat. And can you imagine if he would have hit that first home run opposite field? The place would have went nuts. But before we get to Bryce too, I want to just touch on Edmundo Sosa. I mean, he talked to Tom and Kruk after the game in the booth with Diego, and basically he compared it to how the NBA has the 6-man award. He believes that he's the Phillies' 10th man. And Kruk was played into it well. I mean, dude, what a start of the season for Edmundo Sosa. Trey Turner gets the back spasms to start the season. He stepped in and he has 6 hits and 11 at-bats. He had 2 hits again today, including the go-ahead RBI or 2-run double, I guess. That's the second already go-ahead RBI that Edmundo Sosa has this season. I mean, you know how I feel about Edmundo Sosa. I've been wanting him to get more playing time. But however, I think this bench spot coming in as that 10th man, if that's what we want to call it, has helped him succeed big time.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, what this team's record would be if Trey Turner didn't get hurt in the second game before the second game of the season. Not that they're a better team without him or anything like that, but Edmundo Sosa has come through in those clutch situations the last couple games. Who knows what the Phillies, how the weekend would have looked without him, but I think that him getting these early opportunities could be conducive to success all season long. I mean, we saw last year that when Trey Turner missed about 6 weeks with a hamstring injury, that Edmundo Sosa, that was like the best stretch of his career. He was hitting for power. He was hitting for average. He was hitting pitchers from both sides. Rob Thompson showed some confidence in him in this game by leaving him in a righty-on-righty matchup against Victor Vodnik. He could have, gone to the bench. He could have pinch hit for Edmundo Sosa, but he didn't there. And
Bud Black was playing possum there too, wasn't he? He was kind of just seeing. He went out there and was like, "Are we going to make the pitching change?" And then he did.
Right. And I think he's a really important player. Like the phrase super utility man, like I think that really applies to him because he can play all these different positions, and he's not just like it's not just a guy who stands out there. Like he actually like delivers offensive value. Like, there's a lot of utility guys who can hit 220 with a 280 on base. That's not Edmundo Sosa. He can do a lot more for you than just that. And I like that. I like that. Like that mindset he has of being the Phillies' 10th man. That is how he should be thinking about it because he's the first guy off the bench, and that's really important. It's a really important spot. I mean, especially in the DH era in the National League, you don't play just 9 guys. You need more than 9 guys. And he's off to a great start. Probably off to him and Kyle Schwarber are off to the best start so far. But it just kind of speaks to the depth of this lineup. Harper really hasn't really gotten going yet, right? JT Realmuto hasn't done much aside from that late triple at Nationals Park. So a couple of guys haven't gotten going, but Sosa off to a hot start. Also, Nick Castellanos on base 2 more times today with a homer and a single. He walked 4 times in DC, which is the most walks he's had in any series as a Philly. And wow. I'm not saying that to say that that's going to remain consistent and he's going to walk 150 times this year. But if he walks a little bit more this year, it makes a big difference because, Nick Castellanos last season on pitches inside the strike zone hit 291. On pitches outside the strike zone hit 166. So should be laying off the pitches that he can't drive, right? I mean, it's just simple as that. It's easier said than done, but with him, it's the low and away slider. And he's done a good job right now of not going after pitches that pitchers are trying to get him out with.
Yeah, and Nick's had that. It was kind of funny. He wasn't really talked about too much in those first 2 games, and then just because he was just walking, he wasn't really getting his hits. Man, it'd be great if Nick can show a little more play discipline this season. I mean, we've seen it in the first 4 games. Obviously, it's very early, but it would be great to see that kind of stay consistent all year. And you just mentioned JT's triple. That is his only hit of the season so far. He's dealing with the foot injury. Maybe not an injury, but he's banged up a little bit. He fouled off that the ball on Saturday. He didn't play in Sunday's season or series finale. He'll be fine. And I think some of these guys will also wake up. Do you want to touch on the last 2 games in Nats Park after I can real quick? I mean, Aaron Nola, man, I felt so bad. That guy was dealing on Sunday. He had everything dancing. The sinker was beautiful. I think it was his 6th strikeout, and it just completely fooled Josh Bell. But then Josh Bell got him back. And, and he said after the game, I believe you asked the question, and you can kind of get into it a little bit more here, but just that home run ball, right? He's like, he throws so many strikes that it's going to happen. Rob Thompson said that as well. But it still kind of stinks for Aaron and for the Phillies that he just can't really shake I think he had 30 home runs, or he allowed 30 home runs last season. Obviously, still the first start of the season. There's more from Aaron Nola, but is it a little concerning still that that Daniel Lowe and Josh Bell got him in on Sunday?
So I mean, like I'm not going to say he pitched well overall in that game because he didn't. Yeah, he was cruising through 3 2/3 innings, but all that matters is the end product, and the end product was not, a well pitched game by Aaron Nola. But I don't think it's a concern just because this is just who I think he is and who I think he's always going to be. In my opinion, okay, having watched a decade of Aaron Nola, always around the plate, limits the walks, limits the hits, but when he makes a mistake, it can get hit a long way. And so if you're a Phillies fan, what you have to be hoping for is that mistake that Aaron Nola makes each game does. Every pitcher makes multiple mistakes a game, right? Every pitcher makes multiple mistakes, but sometimes they pay for them, sometimes they don't. If you're a Phillies fan, you just have to hope that when that mistake happens, there aren't two guys on base, right? Yeah. That's the big difference. If he's given up solo home runs, that's really not the end of the world. He even said that a lot last year when we talked to him about the streak of allowing a home run every game. It's like, well, if you allow a solo home run, that's the same thing as allowing 3 consecutive singles for a run, right? It's the same thing. But the difference is when the sequencing happens, like walk, single, 3-run homer, then the whole course of the game changes. I think that the boring answer to this is that Aaron Nola is just always going to be this guy. He's going to be a pretty good pitcher who, when you look up at the end of the season, has delivered 190-plus innings of a mid-threes ERA, and the totality of it is going to be productive. But there are going to be starts, maybe half his starts, maybe a few more than that, where the home run ball bites him. It's just a byproduct of throwing so many strikes. I've said throughout his career that he's probably a guy who could benefit from being more effectively wild, but he doesn't like to walk guys. He doesn't like to hit batters. That's not his MO. And quite frankly, he's had a lot of success doing it his way. I know he's had a down year here and there, but still, I think that when we look up at the end of the season, Nola's going to have given the Phillies 32 starts, been a workhorse, have a mid to high threes ERA. They're not relying on him to be the ace. I know he's making a lot of money, but he's making a lot of money because of his durability and his ability to throw 200 innings a year, not because the Phillies think he's going to go out there and win the Cy Young this year. You know, to me, he's like a number 2, right, who sometimes looks like a number 1 and sometimes looks like a number 3. But the Phillies have so much in their rotation. I mean, Jesus Luzardo, I thought it was an electric debut from him. Yeah, throwing 98 miles per hour, showing off a slider and a sweeper, 2 different pitches. He threw 16 sliders and sweepers combined, and 12 of them were swinging strikes. I mean, that's just like that. So, I mean, when you start to think of the different weapons that this pitching staff has, Zack Wheeler has probably the best combination of 4-seam and 2-seam fastballs in all of baseball. Cristopher Sánchez is one of the 3 to 5 best changeups in all of baseball. Aaron Nola, his curveball, one of the 3 to 5 best in all of baseball. Ranger Suarez has that deep mix of pitches. Jesus Luzardo has upper 90s velocity. This is going to be an awesome rotation this year. It's going to help. It's going to be what leads the Phillies. And, Kyle Schwarber made a comment on Monday that it takes a village to get where they need to go. It's going to take everybody on the pitching staff. It's going to take everybody in the lineup, as we're already seeing. And Rockies have beaten them 11 out of the last 12 times here at Citizens Bank Park. And the next pitcher that the Rockies draw is Zack Wheeler. So good luck, Colorado.
Yeah, good luck, Colorado is right. Dude, I was so happy for Jesus on Saturday. 11 strikeouts. He was dealing too, man. And showing a little fire after that 11th K. That was awesome to see. So happy to see Jesus. Dude, I guess we'll transition real quick just to the last 2 games of this series, get ready for LA. But real quick too, Alec Boehm debuted this new baseball craze, right? The Torpedo bat. He made his, it was funny. Everyone was talking about it pregame. Rob Thompson said that Kevin Long has already made some calls. It sounds like Brandon Marsh, Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott, and Bryce Harper have all called to Victus and kind of requested this bat to see what happens. This is obviously taking baseball by storm. We're not even a week into the season. What are your thoughts on the bats? I mean, fans, I talked to some fans before the game. It was about 50-50. People were like, yeah, it's going to be great. Imagine Kyle Schwarber hitting a monstrous home run. But then other people are your baseball lifers who are like, don't change the game in any sort of way. What are your thoughts on this bat? Now, Alec Boehm, I think he used it. Did he use it in all his at-bats? I know he grounded out in his first one, and then he got the base hit in his second one. I didn't see his third and fourth at-bat, but, I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I believe he used it in all 4 at-bats, and his comment in the clubhouse postgame was like, yeah, why wouldn't I try it? Like, why wouldn't I try that after seeing what happened at Yankee Stadium on the opening weekend? I'm curious to see if this ends up being much ado about nothing. Like, we were talking amongst ourselves up in the press box at one point. Okay, the Yankees hit all those homers against the Brewers. The Brewers pitching staff stunk in that series and was throwing like 90 to 92 mile per hour maximum fastballs, okay, over the middle of the plate at a bandbox stadium in the Bronx.
Yep.
Was it the bats or was it a confluence of all those things at once? It's probably the latter, right?
Well, I think the Royals put up 10 spot against the Brewers pitching staff again today.
Right.
So,
yeah. I think that's probably going to benefit certain hitters. I think I don't know the exact, but like if you're a traditional power hitter who makes contact on the sweet spot of the bat frequently, I don't think you're changing anything up. Like I don't know if Kyle Schwarber is going to get a new bat or whatever, but I mean he seems to have plenty of success with a traditional sweet spot on the bat. But it's pretty funny. I did see a tweet on Monday. It was like the Yankees unveil their new gloves, and it was just this giant mitt, But hey, anyway, you can
change the game.
Anyway, you can find a marginal advantage. Teams are going to do it, and I think what's just surprising is that baseball's been around for over 100 years, and like this is the first time we've been hearing in how long that players and teams are experimenting with different,
equipment.
That
That's insane, man. And when it's like an MIT guy that designed this bat and whatever, man. But we'll see if it ends up being a big craze throughout the season. I'm sure that's now going to be the talking point over the next few weeks. But let's transition now real quick just to the final 2 games of the series, and then they get ready for the Dodgers. Like you mentioned, Zack Wheeler will start on Wednesday. Then we see Taijuan Walker's debut on Thursday. Off day tomorrow, which it looks like it's going to rain. Thank goodness the rain held off today too. It was a beautiful day today. That was awesome.
For weeks, it was looking like opening day home opener was going to be a washout. Phillies end up getting like a beautiful day out of it.
Yeah, and it's my dad. So back home. Back in like Gettysburg area, he texted me about 30 minutes ago and said they were getting hammered. So I'm sure it's coming, but I'm glad that it stayed off for the game. Yeah, dude, it was one of those days too where I think we talked about it. I had a quarter zip on at some point, and dude, I'm still like sweating. It was a warm one today. But going to Wednesday and Thursday, Zack Wheeler, Taijuan Walker, much anticipated start for Taijuan Walker on Thursday. What are your takeaways or predictions or whatever you want to call it here as we get ready for Wednesday and Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, no predictions because you don't know which Taijuan Walker is it going to be a guy who gets a lot of ground balls, or are they going to square it up? And I mean, that he's not going to miss many bats. I think that's just the reality. Even with increased velocity this spring, Taijuan Walker did not have many strikeouts, did not miss many bats. But I've been saying this all week. The Rockies are going to be one of the worst teams in the National League. They stink offensively, and they're even worse on the road. So if there's a team to open up against, if you're Taijuan Walker, it's this team. It's the Rockies or the Marlins, okay?
Yep.
So I think from a Phillies perspective, if they get 5 innings out of Taijuan Walker, 3 runs, job well done.
Perfect.
Even if they get, in my opinion, even if they get like 4 innings, 2 runs out of Taijuan Walker, it's a job well done, other than the fact that you're going to have to tax the bullpen in that scenario. But the Phillies do have 2 guys who can go multiple innings in Carlos Hernandez and Joe Ross, and Tanner Banks can also go multiple innings. So if the worst case scenario of a short Walker start does occur, they have guys they can turn to behind him. And Ranger Suarez, who the reason that Walker's in the rotation to begin the season is because Suarez is dealing with back tightness. Ranger Suarez threw a 26 pitch bullpen session over the weekend in DC. The next step for him, I think it's going to be either Tuesday or Wednesday, is going to be an up-down bullpen session, meaning he's going to simulate ending one inning and beginning the next as if he were starting an actual game. And then from there, it will be like facing hitters, then eventually a rehab assignment. So Ranger Suarez probably isn't going to be back until the end of April, I would think, at the earliest. Yeah. So that means like 3 or 4 starts out of Taijuan Walker. And, these 3 or 4 starts are going to determine how much more of a baseball future Taijuan Walker has. It's going to determine whether another team has any interest in him as a trade candidate, whether the Phillies have interest in keeping him on the roster all season as a long man. It's a big opportunity for him. He couldn't have asked for anything more coming off of that dismal 2024 season. So, I am very interested to see that first start out of Walker. Out of Wheeler, I'll give you a prediction out of Wheeler, I think something like 6 or 7 innings, 1 or no runs. I mean, that's just almost like a given when you're talking about that guy.
Is one of those, do we prep the graphic a while?
Might as well.
Just get the no-hitter graphic.
The win graphic early in the season for that. But
the win graphic. Yeah, last year when they had the White Sox come to town. Yeah, we had that no-hitter graphic prepped and ready to go.
I remember driving to the ballpark that day when Wheeler was facing the White Sox and thinking, I think he's going to throw a perfect game tonight. And
especially if they're turnbull the night before, pretty much.
And then it almost materialized that he almost. And as that game was going on, you're just thinking like, who's going to get hit against him? But
not a lot.
Yeah,
but it's going to be exciting.
It's got to be a great feeling for the Phillies though when they win the first game of a series and know they have Zack Wheeler still to come in that series. Gives them I'd say probably like an 85% chance of a series win or something. Bingo. And let's hope. And
they've been down 4 straight games. And then they've come back. So if Taijuan Walker kind of continues that trend, hopefully not on Wednesday, Zack Wheeler, hopefully the offense comes clicking right away. Real quick, we'll wrap up, dude. Just today was awesome, right? The fly, I mean, you know me. Look at this. I got chills right now thinking about that flyover, man. That's all I need. Little F-16s coming by.
Love a good flyover.
It was awesome, man. And
I can't remember if I said this on the last podcast, but the thing that fascinates me about a flyover is that you have to time it out so far in advance. Like, what time does that jet have to take off in order to time it so that it flies over right as the national anthem ends? It's just incredible. I mean,
I saw them. I was field level and I saw them, and I was sitting next to our good buddy Taryn Hatcher, and I was like, oh, and it was just as Kane Callis was finishing up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's well done. So yeah, man, we're looking forward to it. A great home opener here on Monday. Phillies win 6-1 over the Colorado Rockies. They got 2 more left, the Rockies. Then the Dodgers come to town. Then they head to Atlanta, who jerks a Profar. Big news today, 80-game suspension with a substance issue. Dude, big for the Braves.
How about that? I mean, that's a 3-year, $45 million contract the Braves signed Jurickson Profar to, coming off a career year that you now have to wonder, was it fueled by PEDs, right? I mean,
dude.
Yeah, I mean, and they needed an outfielder like all offseason. They signed him late, and now they lost him for half the season. And I thought, aren't they off to an 0-4 start? Didn't they get swept in San Diego?
They got swept in San Diego to start the season. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody's talking about, they're going to get Strider, they're going to get Acuna. Well, they're off to a bad start, and they lost a pretty big piece. So, but I like the fact that the Phillies are going to see all these teams in April. You're going to see the Dodgers, you see the Braves, you see every team in the division. It's pretty good to get all of that out of the way at once, see where you stack up.
It is. And hopefully they can keep stacking up these wins, series wins like they did over the weekend, and then hopefully Zack Wheeler on Wednesday. We will talk to you guys either Thursday, maybe Friday before the Dodger series, and then obviously next week after that Dodger series before they head to Atlanta. But for Corey Seidman at the ballpark, Spencer McKercher here. We'll catch you guys next week.